Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Final Fantasy X-2. So I just spent a little bit of time, but we've just finished grinding the other Dresspheres. So Festivalist and Black Mage are completed for all the girls. So Black Mage is really powerful early game. It gives you access to the Aga level elemental spells. And then quicker casting with the Black Magic level down. So we're going to continue our spree of missions, but as I kind of said, we have the two hotspots in Besaid and Zanarkand, and we're basically going to approach those last so we can checklist every other percentage off the list. And we're going to start with Kilika. But just so that we're literally going to go from Besaid to Mount Gagazet, or Kilika to Mount Gagazet, and then hit Besaid and Zanarkand. But we're going to actually first start in the Calmlands, because there's a quest that involves going to every other place as well.
Many summoners used to cross these plains, their hearts heavy with the weight of their pilgrimage. I was no different, but the calm lands we knew have changed.
To amusements, and carnival rides, and slot machines. The new music is very nice though.
I love these games.
I have 100 Argent credits.
Well, I have 100 open air credits.
Open air what?
Well?
So basically there's two competing game owners, Argent and Open Air. And basically you can then talk to the attendants and do a little mini game for promoting the company across Spira. And basically I was doing some battles earlier, but I cut a bunch of them out. But just run to the hover at the base of the hill here and speak to the lady on the right and talk about wanting to do publicity. And then basically as you travel around Spira, there's selected people that you can press, I think it's X on PC or square on the controller. And basically you're able to then enter a menu and give them kind of a stock phrase. There's a selection of 5. And then if they really like the response, they'll give high amount of enthusiasm for the company. And basically by chapter 5, we have to have one company with up to 400 kind of positive appraisal on that. So that's basically the job there. But there's a couple of treasures running around, but I did want to kind of look at the monster arena because there's something really interesting there. But basically, I've chose Argent. You can choose Open Air, either or, it doesn't really matter. I just went with the one that Payne picked, basically. But yeah, if you visit the monster arena, you'll notice that our old friend isn't here, and then there's something foreboding about going into the monster arena, so we just have to leave it there, but we will be coming back here eventually in later chapters. But before we leave the Calmlands, pop over to the central inn area. I don't know why I'm being obsessed with getting encounters, but I just cut them. But basically talk to this guy, and he is looking to find a wife for his son. And it's another mini game you can play, and now this isn't for 100% completion, but you just get a handy accessory, which is quite cool. So basically, as we're going around different people in Spira, we're going to basically be doing publicity in one menu, and then for the ladies of Spira, we're going to be trying to matchmake with this guy to find him a wife. You can't matchmake with the men in Spira, unfortunately, but hey-ho, that's just the nature of this minigame here. But other than that, that's the Calmlands done. We got the percentage for watching the kind of inner monologue of Yuna there. And other than that, we're going to just skedaddle to the top of the menu for Luca. But what you can do is every time you visit a certain place, talk to Riku and Payne, and they'll give little responses as to their thoughts on the particular area or whatever. But as I say, we're now going to go off to Luca. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Luca, once again, there isn't really much to do there, and if I was kind of thinking ahead, I would have like looked up the matchmaking and the publicity guide sooner. But we will be going back to Luca eventually, or Kilika eventually.
It's Kilika Port.
But once again, just to say, like, don't skip any of these cutscenes.
The Youth League helped rebuild it. Now it's a bustling town. At the time, everyone was grateful, but lately, well, there have been signs of trouble. It seems that tension is building between the Youth League and New Yevon.
And that's really all for now. That I do in this video anyway. Little post-editor's note, I will be going back to Kilika just to touch base with the publicity and the marriage menu. And basically, there's also one little scene that you can get, because you will have to return to Kilika. It's going to become a hotspot, just only after you've beaten the other two hotspots, but it's like the concluding area for the chapter. So I do just want to go back before it becomes a necessary hotspot in case I miss out on, you know, being able to talk to different people or missing a particular scene. So I will be going back when there's no like pressure, and I can, you know, do a good amount of stuff without the pressure of, oh, well, this is like the end of the chapter kind of moment. But you can get a couple of handy treasure chests and whatnot. But what you want to do at this chapter is to go over to this guy with the camcorder. You can pick up some nice lunar curtain there. But talk to this guy with the camera, and he basically says that the Youth League are building a base over in that coral reserve, and just say that you want to have a look at it. And basically, because you've done that now, later on he'll basically invite you to go over to that island at a later chapter. But all the music, that's like a lovely like remix and like redesign. Like the Comlands music is super nice when it's changed. I think Kilika Port just sounds super like lovely as well. But I'm raging with myself because at that particular corner, if I had just ran up, I would have gotten another cutscene that I just wanted to get now rather than later. But I'm super annoyed that I didn't just think of it at the time. But again, just running around, just getting a couple of like, to be honest, the treasure chests at this stage, we've done that much grinding. And like, we've that much guild that we can just buy 99 of all these different items that we can get probably. In terms of like antidotes and eye drops, like useful, but you know, not that big of a deal. But yeah, that coral formation is like the talk of the town. And this lady here in blue, you're going to want to speak to her, and she's going to basically say about little monkeys you can collect in the Kilika Woods. And so we're going to be doing that a bit later. But other than that, we will be returning once we have the guide in front of us and just do the matrimony stuff. I only kind of think of it when we're in Luca, and I just didn't want the episode to be too long. But basically, that's pretty much it. You can run around and get a few collectibles, but we'll kind of do Kilika properly. I'll just cut in where we go and who we talk to for the matrimony quests, and there's one other little cutscene to watch. But I will revisit it. But we're going to just go back to the airship and then go to Luca. And Luca basically has its own mission, and it's actually quite cool because we're going to get now background into what Yuna was doing before the concert, you know, when she made her grand entrance with her two guns, you know. But yeah, Kilika is kind of the starting point of where we really start to see Youth League and New Yevon kind of at odds, because the Youth League helped rebuild Kilika Port, but like the temple in Kilika is still like very much a kind of Yevon stronghold. So the community itself, from the port to the woods and the temple, are literally divided and don't really want to be mixing with one another, which is quite tricky. But as you can see there, our completion percentage moved up. We're at 7%. And if you'd believe it, by the end of chapter 1, it's going to jump all the way to 25%, which is like absolutely mad. But here we have our concert commotion mission, which is basically where Yuna says here she didn't have the heart to tell people it wasn't really her doing the performance, that it was LeBlanc in disguise. But now we're going to hear the backstory of what was Yuna up to.
Yuna, your concert was incredible!
While LeBlanc was impersonating her.
Would you sign this, please?
This is real Tidus vibes, you know, from the start of Argent. So she really is just such a celebrity at the minute, like. Not that she wasn't before.
I couldn't bring myself to tell them it was just an imposter. The whole mess started with the garment grid. That's the invention that lets us harness the Dressphere's power.
And this is where, back in chapter 1, when I made that big hullabaloo of like, go talk to this Moogle. Like, don't miss this Moogle. It's really important. Like, it's going to come into play here later on.
Believe it or not, this was the easy part.
Like, I don't get this part from Yuna. It's like, girl, you were handing out balloons. Like, calm down. But that Moogle was Yuna the whole time. She was in like a Moogle costume to hide her identity so they could crash into the concert.
To Luca, but when we arrived...
Hear that? Lady Yuna in concert!
Alright, think there are any tickets left?
Looks like your imposter's pretty popular.
I doubt anyone would believe ours is the real Yuna.
Not dressed like that.
I didn't ask to wear this. Whew, it's hot.
Shall we finish this before Yuna passes out?
We'll be back in 2 shakes, so be a good Moogle, you hear?
The plan was to sneak into the imposter's concert and recover the garment grid. If I went in,
And instead what they
I'll
did
blown,
was
so
jump
it's
on
up to
stage,
Luca,
maul and attack
which left me
Yuna,
with nothing to do but lay low and
where
wait.
she then fled the Lucas Stadium, like.
And that's how I got stuck with the Gullwing's prized garment. I complained.
It'll make you
but
wonder
brother's orders are still orders.
why the people are like, oh, aren't those the two women that attacked Yuna in concert? And when they're saying her concert was incredible, it's like her concert where she then used magic and had to like flee as she like fought on stage. It's really weird. I don't
So what
know
did you do after we
where
left?
people are coming from with all of that.
Top secret.
She gave away balloons. That's what she did. Spoilers.
Mommy, my balloon!
Oh, hurry up.
You, get over here.
So, just go and talk to this guy. He gives you a mission to give out balloons around the plaza.
You're here to promote the concert, right?
You do get a good garment grid for doing this though, so
Thanks,
it is
and
worth it.
Hey, don't screw up.
And obviously, it's
Did
also
I do
like
it because I
for the
couldn't turn
completion.
him down? Or because the conversation was over before I had the chance?
So you have to give away 10 balloons, so you can give it to this kid here in front of the statue.
Get them while they're hot!
The guy with the balloon stand.
Concert, okay?
The guy sitting down over here.
Here you go.
Now, you can give it to these two ladies. I then thought I was being crazy and like misremembering. But you can give it to these two women. But I was obviously just talking to the same lady. Or it wasn't registering that I was talking to a different lady. So anyway, I'll come back there, but I was like, oh, I must be mistaken, it must be somewhere else. But you give it to both these two old people.
Go on, take one.
And then what's super sneaky is if you talk to this little glass area here, it will actually drop down. Or rather, open up, and you can give it to the two guys in here.
It's a really nice balloon.
And yeah, the guy in green's like, don't you dare. So they're it's not as if you just pick people at like there are specific people that will only take one, you know? Like the little girl running with that balloon, she'll be like, oh, I can't take two balloons.
Wanna see the concert?
I love this guy's response, filling quotas of pain, isn't it? I'll take one so you're nearly done your quota. Like, oh my god. What I do find really annoying is that the balloon pile doesn't get any smaller. Like, I wish it just actually became like one solo balloon. Like, when she's finished, you know? But I was like, you must be! And then it was actually the lady at the other side.
Mission accomplished.
And the healing wind garment grid is like really good. It lets you use cure, and like you can move around the grid to get any Dressphere access to like Curaga and stuff. So if you just need a healer, mixed damage dealer, it's great. You can like just like cast spells and heal up the party without potions and stuff. So it's handy.
Does she look that
But
much
then
like
what's really weird is that in like the FMV cutscene, when these guards like are trying to like stop Riku in pain, they look like the guards looking like that, you know? But then they turn into the goons in this scene here.
Let's move!
Yes, sir.
But look at, let's not question the weirdness. But yeah, this whole argument with me earlier is so there's one little 2-second clip that's changed in this cutscene if you didn't interact with the Moogle as Riku.
I wasn't sure what I was doing.
So if you don't interact, it just skips over this little scene. But that's it. You need that little interaction in that cutscene for 100%. Because that little cutscene element doesn't play, you've missed out on like 0.2%. No 100% playthrough for you. But yeah, I know how it's all like, oh my god, the panic, but like, what? Is Logos just gonna shoot some random mascot dressed like Moogle dead in like the harbour? Once again, it's like, why couldn't she have just been in her gunner outfit and just hiding somewhere? But look at it, it doesn't matter. This story is wacky and goofy and doesn't need to make sense.
Here comes the real Yuna.
I was just about to finish him off, but then you showed up and stole all the fun.
I guess I was so glad to get out of that thing that I went a little nuts.
That explains the dancing.
Yuna's dancing? Where? Ha in there!
Listening close enough?
But yeah, I like Yuna's monologues. It just
So,
shows us where
this is
she's
my
at.
life now. We travel from place to place, and the days just seem to fly by. But sometimes, I find myself stopping. I'm listening for your whistle.
Like, everyone kind of says, like, oh my god, it's such a tonal shift, it's such a tonal shift. But, like, this entire journey of Yuna is literally a young woman who was, like, ready to die and then, like, found something to, like, realize she didn't have to die, fell in love, like, had all these new plans for a new future, and then that future died, and she's, like, living with the grief of Tidus constantly, you know? So, I don't know, I think this is still, like, an exploration of, like, you know, grief in Yuna's part, but then also, like, a world that's now learning to, like, move on and live differently, you know? But we're not quite done with the Luca, because there's one other cutscene that we need to have the freedom to fully explore Luca, not just in flashbacks. So go to Luca. What we'll also do is we will tick off that marriage and publicity minigame. So you literally just go person to person, and then you press the X button on your keyboard or your square button on a controller, and basically you're just going to have to follow the instructions. So for this particular person, it is option number 3 for the publicity. Now there are other guides, I might just put the link in the description, or you can like pause the video. But I was just being like super careful not to pick the wrong one. But it is option number 2 for matchmaking. And as I say, just the guide's actually very, very thorough, and it is quite useful. I just was making sure I was like reading it correctly, because obviously for some of the women you're able to do both publicity and matchmaking, but publicity is 5 for this lady and matchmaking is 3. And what's handy, and what I'll probably do like at the end of the chapter, like before we go to Zanarkand, I'll just hop over to the Comlands, check the publicity score, just to give you guys like an update on, like, roughly speaking, if you've done the same as me, this is your score. And as I say, 400 is the goal. And for Matrimony, it's only like 80, so it's not that extreme. But speak to the kid by the little balloon stand. He's option 4. This guy over here, he's option 5. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the reaction. They seem totally pumped. That means you're getting +5 positive reputation bonus for Argent Inc. in this case. Now, the reason I said that the different people make no, like the different companies makes no difference, it's literally just, well, you have to get a company to 400. That's just part of getting episode complete. But basically, oh yeah, that guy in the green, like, yeah, he was the one I was meant to get. So I kind of messed that up. But there's a lady here, and you speak to her, and her publicity. Again, these little pauses, I was just checking the thing, but it's 2. And matchmaking was also 2. So 2 and 2. And then I was like trying to find that man again, but they do just kind of reload through different parts of the different screens. So for him, publicity is going to appear on screen shortly. Oh, just pick it. Number 3. I'm definitely going to just post the guide there. But going down here, we end up getting another cutscene that we need for 100%. So as it happens, Rin, the like Albed like chain of shops, he's setting up like a new game. So we have another new mini game to look forward to later on in the series. But basically, he's happy to see everybody.
What you selling this time?
Entertainment. Lady Yuna's calm has given the people of Spira time to relax and enjoy the finer things in life. What better time for me to introduce Sphere Break? It won't be long now before Luca will host the inaugural tournament. You are more than welcome to compete if you like.
Should we?
Yes, we will, Yuna. We need it for 100%. And we get a amazing Dressphere.
Rules of the game.
But we'll get to that later on. But yeah, like basically whenever Yuna hears Albed, she just gets a primer. Now there's other primers you can collect later on, but like it specifically scenes like this where she hears Albed, she'll get a primer from somebody. We just have a tiny bit more publicity to do, as well as collecting a really cool garment grid from a treasure chest. So we just have to stop this lady as she like runs by the screen here. And so publicity and matchmaking results will be in momentarily once I consult the guide. But like you can kind of guess randomly, but like obviously the best thing is to like be optimal. And so her optimal response is number 4 for publicity and number 2 for matchmaking. And then the final guy for Luca that we're going to speak to, he is just down here, publicity, number 1. But then moving to the next screen over, we're going to get the Thunder's Spawn garment grid. And basically that is when you equip it, you get Lightning Eater, so it turns the lightning damage into HP, and you're able to cast lightning spells. So like that, between like accessories that are giving you like, you know, the ability to use different abilities, and the garment grids, like you can literally have like songstress or other like supportive classes, like let's say white mage, but you could also have like a white mage black mage combo and stuff like that. So you know, it's gonna be super cool and interesting. But that is Luca done and dusted. So we've been doing a good bit of marketing campaigning, and we're going to have done a lot of marriage as well. But that's really like what a lot of this is going to be. It's going to be putting together you know, the different missions, and then once the missions are done, run back, do your matrimony and your marketing side quests, and then we'll sum them up by the end of each chapter. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you.